One of my most favourite places that I like to work in is the Natural History Museum in London. At the museum, there is the Angela Marmont Centre for UK Biodiversity, and they have had use of a scanning electron microscope that has been on loan to them, and they had completed the work that they needed to do, and then they were offering it to other people that wanted to make use of it. So I heard that it was available to use. So I made my way up to London. I had an appointment with them and I had the scanning electron microscope available to me all day, which was fantastic. So I arrived at the museum, and of course it was in the middle of the summer holidays, so it was absolutely packed and it was really, really noisy. But one of the galleries I always like to visit is the Nature in Art gallery, just to see if they've changed any of the work on display. But it's the gallery where they really highlight the importance of art and science working together. So then I made my way to the AMC, as I'm going to call it, the Angela Marmont Centre, and met Florin, who's one of the scientists who works there, and he introduced me to the scanning electron microscope, the SEM. So, and then it was time to set to and look at my specimens under the microscope. So what is an SEM, a scanning electron microscope? Well, to be honest, it's a bit beyond me. I do have a science degree, but I didn't study microscopy to this level. An SEM is a type of electron microscope that produces images of a sample by scanning the surface with a focus beam of electrons. The electrons then interact with the atoms in the sample, producing various signals that contain information about the surface topography and composition of the sample. And the electron beam scanned in a particular pattern, and the position of the beam is combined with the intensity of the detected signal to produce then an image. And then obviously when you're using it, you can change the magnification as well. I took a selection of seeds with me, making sure that they were all named. And then in preparation, what you have to do is place each of the seeds, or a couple of seeds, onto one of these stages. Now here you can see 9 stages, so you can insert all 9 into the SEM, or alternatively you can insert as many as you want, obviously no more than 9. So for sort of efficiency, I made sure that I used all 9 stages, and they each have a black sticky pad on them to make sure that your specimen adheres to it so that there's no movement. Once these are all in place, you then place the whole stage within the SEM. You then have to make sure that it is fully aligned with the markings on the internal structure of the SEM to make sure that it's straight and aligned to aid suitable and efficient viewing. Now, once you shut the door, you then press a button and you have to wait a few minutes just to make sure that all of the air is extracted and the SEM process is taking place. Once the light changes colour on the front of the machine, then you can then start viewing the individual images on the computer screen. Now on the front of the machine are 2 knobs, and you can move those, you can rotate them, and one of them moves the set of stages up and down, and one of them moves it left to right. So you can view the individual stages on the computer screen by moving and rotating those 2 knobs. So as you're viewing your specimens, you can change the magnification at which you're viewing them at. And this machine starts off at a minimum of ×20 magnification. For the larger seeds, such as this calendula, that was fine to start off with. But believe it or not, the machine can actually, I think it goes up to ×30,000 magnification. But in actual fact, one of the specimens that I was looking at, I think the highest I went to was ×500. But there were some students that came in during my lunch break and they were using it, and they were looking at a fruiting body on a fungal spore, and they were at some ridiculous high number. but it was fascinating to see the images that they actually captured. So basically, when you're viewing your specimens, you can then click on a button that then translates that image into a high quality digital image that then you can then use for reference or for other purposes. And so this is what I'm doing during this process. So I've sped it up a little bit, but what you can't see is actually my wonder. I may not have showed it facially, but that just in my head, it was such a surprise, and I felt so privileged to be able to see what I was seeing and being able to use a piece of equipment like this too. So what I'm going to do now is share some of the images with you of the seeds that I captured yesterday, and I hope you enjoy them.